And good Sunday morning to y'all, or you all, as they would say up north. And this is end of days discussion, episode 3, entitled "The Great Men of the Earth." I'm gonna stop and start this maybe twice, get my thoughts together. As Yoda would say, exhausted I am. Spring chicken I'm not. It's been a long week. Okay, I'll start this out with a little bit of brief history of the circles that I spin in, so to speak, and why some of these videos end up being so radical and uncouth and out of character, I guess you could say. In some cases, I'm working on the foul language thing and using crappy words less and less as time goes on. It's not perfect. I still get angry sometimes. If I drop something 200 pounds on my foot, the words are going to come flying out. So this is a little history thing of the circles that I'm in. There was people kind of in the background, low-profile people, because every time they tried to say something and let people know who the great men of the earth referenced in Revelation 23 are, it ran into troubles. They became targets because a lot of this stuff that shows them as the great men of the earth that deceived all nations with their sorceries was leaked out of secret societies. In 80% of cases, these people who had defected or left these secret societies and started spilling their secrets to the public, they ended up having bad things happen to them. They would be blackmailed if there was anything to blackmail them over, framed if there was nothing to blackmail them over, gaslighted with a technique that they call gang stalking, simply because nobody wants to listen to somebody that's got a psychiatric history. Nobody wants to listen to a criminal that's been in prison for this and that for years, or anything. Bribery is another method they would use. They would spend the money so somebody could spend the rest of their days in some tropical resort area like Jamaica or the Bahamas or the various Caribbean islands, any place that would, that somebody'd like to spend a permanent vacation in. Or, cover up briberies. They would offer people lots of stocks instead of lots of cash, or they would just outright, offer them lots of cash to silence them. And if none of that works, the Bible does say, whosoever does not worship the beast that could cause to be killed. There's been suicides and accidents and drug deals and robberies gone wrong, all with suspicious information around them that pretty much tells you that that's not actually what happened. They were assassinated. Um, and see, the first wave of self-publications came out in the 1970s. The Council of Biblical Historians has been around for a good while, but they're a variety of people from a variety of denominations. They're all basically, like we said, biblical historians interested in all things history that has to do with the creation of the Bible, and the circumstances surrounding stories in the Bible, and all kinds of things like that. The translations of the Bible through the ages up to now, when they were translated out of Greek and Latin and Aramaic and Hebrew and all the different original languages that they were put out in. And but they literally funded self-publications in the 70s that outed secret societies, dirty, dark Babylonian and Egyptian occult secrets, and some of their criminal activities and so on. Then there was a time period when, there was a little, it was still talked about some, but it was not quite as prevalent through the 80s as it was in the late 60s on into the 70s. Then different events happened that kind of signified that the end of days was just around the corner. So the Aramaic Society of Biblical Historians formed a public awareness group that started before internet was a common thing in everybody's household. So it was still printed self-publications. The big publishing houses are actually owned by different people associated with the secret societies. If they publish anything concerning that, it would be in the form of a fiction novel, and everybody thinks it's just fiction. It said, but 1993, there was and beyond that, there was a bunch more self-publications that came out that pretty much named lots of names. They didn't just say this corporation, this organization, so much as they really literally named specific names of people connected with these secret societies. When I say secret societies, I'm talking about Masonic Temple, Jesuits, Illuminati, Brotherhood of the White Lodge, Brotherhood of the Dark Lodge. There's lots of different branches and sectors. There's one bunch that's basically called Luciferians, and they still do human child sacrifices and produce a thing called adrenochrome by torturing children and all kinds of things. So they formed three different affiliate branches of people involved. One would be called Trenches for God. That was mainly people who went into very dangerous places to do humanitarian work and spread the gospel. Gang-infested neighborhoods, third world countries, countries with a lot of looters because they've been ravaged with earthquakes and other disasters. Then you have Living Army of God. They were missionaries, but they didn't necessarily go into all those rough places. And the public awareness sector stemmed out of Trenches for God, actually. And once it became way more obvious that we were in end times, starting really around 1998 and beyond, and then we had 9/11 happen and all that. Then there was a side group of people that formed something called the End Times Watchmen, and they would do public awareness and cover current events around the world. But one thing that all these branches did was take an oath that they will never allow themselves to be bought. I'm one of those persons that took those oaths. Corporation A, B, and C, religious denomination X, Y, and Z, right-wing politics and left-wing politics. None of those entities are able to pay me $1 million to tell you anything other than the truth of the matter of things. Cannot be manipulated with money. Those who sacrifice their life for the sake of others shall be saved, so I cannot be manipulated with a gun to my head. Or blackmail of any sort. Anything that I've done in the past that is shady, go ahead and tell everybody. I've told plenty of people anyways. Be a little difficult to frame me in any specific way, because enough people have gotten to know me and know my character enough that I'm not going to murder anybody in any case other than maybe self-defense. Or I can't be manipulated by money, so I'm not going to embezzle money. I'm not going to steal people's things and sell it. And material things don't matter that much to me. They're nice to have, but when it comes right down to it, throw all those material things in the trash as soon as God tells me to. Walk away from where you're at with just the clothes on your back, if God tells me to, and that's just how it is. I've also learned that later, when I place myself directly under the will of God, then God's going to ask me to do a lot of crazy things, and if I try to not do those crazy things, I end up in the same places and around the same people I'm supposed to be around anyways. It's like Jonah and the whale. They just swallowed up by a whale and dropped off where God wanted them to go in the first place. When internet became popular in everybody's household, the self-publications in print started going into blogs and email newsletters on the internet. I sent out email newsletters at one point in the early 2000s, and I still have stashed away somewhere on a private drive email list of about 35,000 people. So in the course of this, there's still a lot of people that had to keep a low profile because they were outing common criminals, basically, that didn't want indictments and didn't want their name tarnished and wanted to keep looking like squeaky clean philanthropists, and like Bill Gates, for example. So you know, some people became targets again. There's a lot of people that don't have an internet account. They have a basic landline phone, just like people had in the 70s. Plug it into the wall. Some a lot of them don't bother to watch TV because they know that social programming. um, designed to give you a certain mindset. And so eventually out comes social media. I was one of those that had to go and keep a lower profile for a period of time. Um, but by the time I signed up for a Facebook account, um, within the first year or so, I stopped keeping a low profile and actually started making Facebook posts about all these different people. So I'm going to end the clip here. There'll be a second clip, so between the two of them, it'll be roughly 30 to 35 minutes long. There's your history of these circles that I've been in for the last 23 years. And we're going to move on to who these great men of the earth are and what their end game and purpose is. We talked a little bit about their end game in previous videos, but not totally everything. And so this is your video for lots more details of who the great men of the earth are and what they're doing that you're not going to like at all. So, and in this clip, you're going to, in a split second, see another clip. And I am back a split second later to you, but it was actually 4 or 5 minutes to me. I went and grabbed some coffee and gathered my thoughts a little better. J. Patrick Morgan, Wise Man Say Dude. Again, this is End of Days Discussion, Episode 3, The Great Men of the Earth. Okay, as I had mentioned earlier, certain circles decided, after speaking with lots of people that defected from secret societies, to just publish the secrets of secret societies, more or less. I would say roughly around 80% of all of these so-called conspiracy theories about the New World Order and the upcoming One World Government and Religion and the Trilateral Commission, another bunch of names, billionaire cabals, billionaire factions, and it came out of funding for self-publication of these different books that had originally come out first in the 70s and then again in the 90s. I think some of them were out as early as late 60s. And the main exception of internet groups that talk about these different things like chemtrails and moving to a 100% cashless society, digital currency, these things, and sovereign nations being targeted to fall so that they can bring about the New World Order and One World Government. The biggest exception was a bunch of parents that noticed significant changes practically overnight in their children after they had become vaccinated. They did all their own research, digging for all the answers why, and they had to jump through hoops after hoops after hoops to go to vaccine court to sue for damages. And most people don't know that there's a vaccine court to sue for damages. So actually less than 10% of actual vaccine injuries were ever claimed, and less than probably less than 5% of vaccine injuries, the major ones. There's minor ones like eczema and plaque psoriasis, and not quite as debilitating conditions such as that. They just didn't get reported. A lot of people didn't know these were vaccine injuries. They don't show you the insert sheet that's in the box that the vaccine vial comes from. They give you a supplemental sheet that says stuff like soreness and redness and a rash on the arm where you got the shot and different things of that nature. The actual severe vaccine injuries are listed on the vaccine insert. That didn't come from Aramaic society or trenches for God circles. That was actually smart parents that paid attention, that eventually networked and got together over the years and put out information to let other people know that these vaccine injuries are possible and sometimes likely. It's all based on genetics. Those people that say, well, I got vaccinated and I'm just fine, that's your genetics. Is it okay that the people that aren't just fine still get vaccinated when it's in their genetics predisposition for them to react that specific way to the poisons inside vaccines? No, it's not okay. Some people are allergic to peanuts and other people aren't. That's genetic too. It's a predisposition that's going to happen. Food allergies and like that. And usually those allergies are closely related to changes in the environment, including vaccines. That have happened over the years. More and more people, percentages of people got vaccines going forward after polio. And we kind of, because Aramaic society has been anti-vaccine forever, knowing that the pharmaceutical company, the word pharmaceuticals actually came from the Greek word pharmakia. That was the original word before the English translated it into sorceries. So when it says do not consort with sorceries, it says do not consort with pharmaceuticals. Because pharmakia or pharmakia, as some people pronounce it, it basically means druggist, chemist, masters of illusion, masters of deception, scammers, like con artists and things of that nature. Anybody that's going to sell you stuff that's crap, that's going to hurt you one way or another. And of course it includes stuff like subliminal mass mind programming and stuff like that. People really don't even know that's going on. But yeah, so we kind of gradually walked in to the anti-vaccine movement, already being anti-vaccine, but not so much based on something that happened to our children, just based on what biblical scripture tells us when you interpret it in its proper context. Sorceries is really kind of a wrong word because everybody just thinks of witchcraft, magicians, you know, necromancers, stuff like that. They don't think of pharmaceutical companies or other people that sell you crap that's actually very harmful for you. And we've come to a time period where all of that's almost impossible to get away from. Even USDA certified organic allows for a certain bleed over of non-organic chemicals into farms, because organic farms are sometimes close to non-organic farms, so there's still a little bit of it in organic food as well. So anyways, now we're going to move on to the great men of the earth who deceived all nations with their sorceries. That's Masonic Temple, higher level Masons. Freemasons or lower level Masons aren't quite in that circle yet. They have to be approved by people and work their way up into that. And they have to go for all the things, the dirty, nasty, foul things that go along with it when they move up. So Masonic Temple is full of these great men of the earth. They work in pharmaceuticals and sciences and military industrial complex, politics, corporate executives. They're up there a ways on the financial circles, by all means. Jesuits is just a how should I put this? Jesuits is basically the Illuminati. You know, they're more open about what they do, or who they are anyways, not necessarily what they do, but who they are, by calling themselves Jesuits, where nobody walks up and says, I'm Illuminati. You know, they don't do that, and they don't out other people that are Illuminati, just like Masons don't out other people that are Masons, and so on and so forth. Then they have sister groups, brother and sister groups, and like that. These are all people that I have got pretty much complete control over scientific circles. All those people that say, I trust scientists, you might as well say, I trust Jesuits, I trust Masons, I trust the Illuminati, I trust the G7 people at the G7 summit, I trust all these leaders in the United Nations. You might as well just say you trust those people. That's the other groups that are the great men of the earth. G7 and the United Nations. All these people that are active in the climate change propaganda, and billionaire factions that attend these big billionaire clubs like Bohemian Grove. You know, they're all part of that too. Luciferians are pretty open about themselves being Luciferian, but they're not very open about their practices, because their practices are illegal. Sacrificing a human baby, that's illegal. They can still get arrested for that. There's no freedom to practice my religion exemption for sacrificing a human baby or torturing them to extract adrenochrome from their system, which is the most expensive drug in the world, that all the people that's got all kinds of money are the only ones that can afford adrenochrome. So yeah, they pretty much decide what goes on in the world. He who has the money gets to dictate what goes on around here. That's a quote from a song that I wrote back in 2015 called "Can I Buy You?" Um, and it's the truth. I'm gonna name names. They can shoot me if they want to, and don't threaten me with peace and everlasting joy in heaven. Um, I'm going to name lots of names. Bill Gates, Bill and Melinda Gates, Gates Foundation, Mark Zuckerberg, Warren Buffett, George Soros, the Rothschilds International Banking Dynasty, and Jeff Bezos, yeah, Jeff Bezos. Back when everybody was paying attention to mainly Islamic terrorism and the things that happened shortly after 9/11 and the Middle East wars, and everybody's focus was on that. Myself and a team of people were letting everybody know about the rampant, unchecked child pornography on the internet. It's all over the place. You type in the certain keywords that means you're looking for a child or child pornography, you'll come up with millions of hits. This was back around 2000 to 2005 is when I had to step out of that because there was big life-threatening problems. And I kind of did some of that on MySpace on up to maybe 2007 or 8. Yeah, so we were based on information that was somebody that was a fact checker, but they were also an aspiring investigative journalist. That's what they wanted to do with their life, was being an investigative journalist. And she, who is now deceased, pretty much turned a team that was mainly convincing all states to get on board with a sex offender registry required for all convicted sex offenders, because at one time it was just a few states and they wanted all 50 states to have a sex offender registry. That was the original purpose of the team. Her and these people from a vigilante anarchist group called 4chan, which later became known as Anonymous, turned the team into the Scooby-Doo Gang without the dog. We were snooping, we were meddling college students and so on. And of course, snitches get stitches. Or worse, yeah, they still get stitches, but because they have to stitch you back up after they do an autopsy. So there you have it with that. The great men of the earth, their agenda is to have a global, cashless, surveillance police state technocracy society. They want to morph our human DNA with artificial intelligence so that we're not really full humans anymore. We're partially robots. We are the Borg. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. Yeah. They want to know everything about your life. They want to be able to cut off your debit card or the chip in your hand or forehead or whatever whenever you're not complying in this technocracy society. They are currently grooming, and we're still not positive who exactly it is, but they are currently grooming a specific person to rise up as the Antichrist. Those are the great men of the earth in G7, Bilderberg Group, Trilateral Commission, New World Order. Those are the interwoven big web of interconnected, very rich people with lots of money to throw around to bully everybody into silence and manipulate the laws in different countries, manipulate the news that you watch. Those are the great men of the earth that deceive all the nations with their sorceries. I forget the exact verses, but it's in Revelation chapter 23, where it talks about the fall of Babylon. They compared it to Babylon because in the first century churches, Babylon was the World Trade Center, so to speak. that's where everybody went back and forth into to trade all kinds of goods and services and currencies and so on and so forth at Babylon. So, in reference to modern times, where a lot of this revelation prophecy is happening, what is the World Trade Center? New York City. Um, but it's not just talking about New York City. It's talking about a nation, the whole United States. Your light shall shine no more. Babylon is fallen. It's fallen, and all the great merchants of the earth with their ships stayed far away from it before it is inhabited by devils. So that's your lesson for end times discussion. J. Patrick Morgan, the wise man, sage dude. Again, this one is entitled The Great Men of the Earth. Read the whole chapter of Revelation 23. It has a lot of stuff in there that gives you a general idea of all kinds of things that we are in for in this world as it keeps falling further and further into wickedness and more into a corrupt technocracy global society. And they have to deplete the population pretty far and get rid of all the undesirables before they can really fully take over as a global government. I'm ending the video here. Everybody enjoy your Sunday as much as you can after listening to this discussion topic. And there'll be an end of day's discussion, episode 4 next week. God bless you. Be watchful. A wise man once said, it's time to stop. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Bye, y'all.